Round two. Giving this another shot. There's a lot that happened right before this, but it's been a very long day and long week, and exciting things are happening. But this is our first round of what we may be calling hot tea time. I think all of us aren't having hot tea. I have coffee, and it's no longer hot.
I finished mine already.
I had smoothie that just went up my nose.
How's it smell?
I feel the tartness.
Oh, Jesus. As soon as we hit record, it's like there's nothing to talk about because we spent so much time talking before this.
I don't feel that. I feel like now I know that people are going to be listening to me. So
Yeah.
say, what did they even, like, this is going to be forever? Like, this conversation, it puts more weight on the conversation. But I guess that's a thing to get over and to get used to.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll be one of the first ones we release. So we'll see who actually goes back into the archives to dig it up.
True.
That's true. We never know, right? Once you start going, like getting to be known, that's when people, and actually, unless you go viral or something like that, then people will start following you and things like that, and then digging into the back.
True.
And that's when they might find us.
And then they go, wow, their first
They-
podcast sucked.
Well, horrible. Oh my God. I'm glad they're not there anymore.
Yeah. But we have some growing pains.
Part of, right? At least we're doing it.
Part of the process.
I didn't have it on hand, the voice transformer.
Oh. So today, very long day, but finally Friday.
I couldn't resist.
Sorry. But yeah, it's finally Friday. So we're building a few things. Actually, one thing. Started as a few things. And we've been going through this process of figuring out exactly what that looks like. So a little bit of explanation of who we are and what we're building. I have a ton of enterprise level experience. We're a group of product strategy and design people set out to bring ideas to life. What we were first going to do is hit the market with a product strategy, design, and execution studio and scale that with client work. And then eventually, after like 18 to 24 months, transform that into something of a venture studio model. But the more people that we spoke to in the startup world and have experience with this and in the VC world, the more we realize that there's no sense in waiting. So what we're actively doing now is building a venture studio. There's a lot going on with that. And it's all bootstrapped to start. And it's not like we're sitting on a ton of capital and just saying, cool, we got, $1, $3, $5, $10, $20 million to invest. Let's go build this thing. We're just people to know how to bring ideas from 0 to 1, validate assumptions, validate product market fit, or also take an existing product that has evolved naturally and painfully has scaled and transform that into like a holistic solution. So we're bringing that know-how to the problem space of problem spaces and helping to bring things to life. And yeah, we're doing that together.
Yeah.
Small group of us.
Well, it's more of us.
Yeah, they're not here right now.
No.
An interesting question would be, what through this process are new skills that you've had to learn outside of your experience and like what you would do from day to day?
I think it falls somewhere in marketing or sales. Sales, no problem, right? Like that's something that we always do is just identify the problem and then figuring out how you could provide a solution. I think that's something I do pretty well naturally, but getting in front of the people to talk to pitch has been really interesting because coming from enterprise, you don't have to worry about having the clients on hand. The problem spaces are just there, and you can sink your teeth right into them. Whereas in this space, especially from the product studio side of things, like going out to find people to serve has been different from what I'm used to, which was interesting because I freelanced before personally, and I don't know, it was easier back then. But I was very active in a bunch of spaces. So like somebody knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. So I stayed busy all the time. Whereas this, I'm just coming straight out of enterprise and being like, hey, cool, let me do my own thing. And it's just, that's been painful.
Mm-hmm.
So the pivot to Venture Studio makes it a little bit more interesting, though, because now we can just put the storytelling and how we can solution in the world. We're going to be supporting not only our own ideas and idea generation, of which we have a couple of avenues for generating ideas, in addition to just observing the pains of the spaces we'll be in. But we're also going to be supporting people with those ideas, whether it's just them with a paper napkin idea or them with a whole team. And the story that I'm telling myself is it'll be easier to do that because we can raise funding for operations to support something like that, as opposed to having to go out and get client work and then trying to scale that and then building the venture side of things. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
How about yourself? What are some skills? Because Nicole, you have a ton of freelance experience, and you've been helping a bunch of startups, and I think that's where your jam has been for the past couple of years. You grew up in this space.
Yeah.
What's been different for you doing this with and for a company that you're helping to co-build?
Well, since I've been freelancing for myself for a while, like I knew how to talk about myself and I knew how to market my own services, but because of like where I was at within my career, since I straight like went into freelancing out of school, I had the mindset going into freelancing that I was like, I just want to work on as much project as possible in different industries, just work with a bunch of different people because I just want to figure out where I want to go with my career. So I had very like the services that I offered were very broad, and so that I could target a wide variety of clients, as well as they were more, some turned into long-term engagements, but most of them were short-term. So this is a new space for me, especially having to talk about like a studio of people now and talk about other people's skills and how we work as a team. And then also nurturing this much longer term engagement that has a lot more investment of time, resources, and energy that has been like a learning curve for me, because now when I'm talking to people, I have to be like, when we're talking about this and there's a bigger weight to it because they have a lot more to consider. So it's a different type of sales that I haven't worked on before, but it's starting to get like easier as we become more clear.
Yeah, it makes sense. And what's becoming easier about it?
What's becoming easier is not being intimidated to reach out to people and finding this balance, especially because I know from the beginning we were like, we don't want to be pushy. We just want to like make connections and stuff. But now finding that balance of being like, okay, I've made the connections and I'm talking to people and I'm becoming more seasoned in it. Now, how do we ingrain what we do and like how to actually work with people in it is becoming more clear to me, and who to target, and yeah, just, and also building a brand like this, because I've built brands for other startups, and I've built my own brand to an extent, but this is like building a brand on top of that and building off of that. So it's like I'm learning new things every week.
Yeah, one of the really cool things is, even having done this before, I'm very much in the same way that like you've built a brand for yourself, and for others. This is a little bit different because you're building it for an entity that you are a part of.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the experience that I'm having with building the processes and the systems too, right? Like having worked in places where you have to establish those processes and those systems, it's within an existing infrastructure. So building the infrastructure and building the systems and processes has been a interesting, like, meta experience.
Yeah, it feels really malleable too, because it's always changing. But then there's some things when I think about it, I'm like, okay, we've clung to that throughout it, and I think that's what grounds us through this process.
Like what?
Our values.
Yeah. How long did we spend on them?
Like
Too long.
Like 4 months.
It's been 4 months on the values. It was a
I
couple
think
weeks.
4 months in the whole thing, but
3 months.
On everything, yeah. But I think it
on
was worth it.
everything, yeah. But we locked it in, so now we know what our values. So
Yeah, but I
think
think
that's-
that's what's setting us apart.
exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's what is allowing us to identify what companies we want to work with and what makes sense for us to live into or not. It's easier, and I think the more we do it, the easier and the clearer it's gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes the decision-making process easier because you can get excited about something. We can get really deep in the weeds on solutioning and things like that. But being able to zoom back out. So our values are being altruistic, being deliberate, being collaborative, being curious, and being cohesive. And at the base of it all, we're not. We're focusing on projects that are around future technology with some aspect of supporting the advancement of humanity. So not just leveraging technology for the sake of technology. And the group of those things has made it easy to check ourselves. I think one thing that might be useful is incorporating in the process that evaluation closer to the start of an idea or if something comes across our plate, as opposed to getting excited and getting in the weeds and just saying like, hey, this is something that we can contribute value to for sure and we can help bring to life, but how does it align with this criteria that we put together?
Yeah.
So we just recently had a project come across our desk that we got pretty deep in ideating around. We had already validated up front that the individual had the investment worth making at the scale that was needed to support what they wanted to do. And we were going to use it as our first project of scale to run through like a venture studio model where it's bringing not only a product and a solution to life, but like actually creating and crafting the business around it and then getting it to the point of being ready to raise funds and grow legs of its own and support that process, and take it beyond that. But at the last minute, when we were going through the proposal, which one mistake that I think we learned from is coming to the table with our best offer monetarily, because we were focusing on what was best for the customer from the partnership perspective. And also we felt that there was enough alignment and validation in collaborating on this that we didn't really have to try to sell. So we come in at a certain price point and leave room for negotiation or anything like that. So we shaved off as much as we could. We took on some of the expense for the actual like time, effort, and energy that the individuals that would be working on the project to execute it. And then on top of like the discount and then the expenses that would go to other people and other resources, and then removing everything that I just talked about, we also shaved off an additional percentage for partnering with the company, and came in like really, really, really low, and still got pushed back. And the counter offer was fair, and it was, instead of taking like 25% of the company, of which we would be building from the ground up in addition to the product itself. We're pretty much doing everything. They offered a higher stake, 50%, we go 50-50, but then split all of the actual expenses and do the market validation for the product. Okay. Us take on that cost. So it was literally, why don't we go 50-50 on this, but you take 100% of the risk without the monetary investment. And that's when we realized like our infrastructure is not set up to support something like that. But it's great because it taught us a lesson of, one, don't come to the table with the best deal. But it also taught us to be honest with where we're at and what we can support, which I think was good. And understand that ideas and experts in particular industries might come to us as a venture studio with things like this. So what might it look like to support those ideas and move forward with them when we do have the infrastructure in place? So it was good. It was a really good learning experience. And I think we could still help the individual with what their original ask was when they came to us. But a really interesting thing happened. There was so much focus and time and energy poured into the possibility of this happening because it was the first thing. We had been building the company for 3 or 4 months, and we really wanted us to bring it to life. But as soon as we made the decision that it doesn't make sense, it wasn't in alignment with where we wanted to go, this space opened up. And a ton more opportunities came flooding in literally like days later.
Yeah. I think that like maybe we were coming from a place of like lack, and we are trying to attach onto that, and that necessarily wasn't aligned to what we want to do, but it was an opportunity to bring income into the company. So we're like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And that for me, in particular, it taught me a lesson. It doesn't matter, even if someone comes to you and showing you flashing money or whatever it is, if it's not aligned to who you are or what you want to be or what you want to be doing, it just don't move forward with it, because in the end, you're going to end up paying for it, no matter what, one way or another. And another thing is like, even I told Andrews, like every single time we would talk about that subject, like the whole energy would shift. Like we'll get into fights and stuff like that, just talking about the project. And I was like, the first time I noticed it, and I didn't say anything, but the second time it happened, I was like, I just want to point something out. Every single time we talk about this subject, these kind of things happen. So I think it's like the idea itself repelling itself from us. I don't think it's meant to happen. And the more you guys put thought into it, and we all ideate together, like we came to that conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a matter of just getting money for the sake of getting money. It's just like, are you really aligned with this or not?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that we learned that before deeping into something that probably wasn't going to be beneficial for us,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe the other side too. Like, who knows, right?
I agree, and especially like us having the space to think about things and then discerning if it's aligned with what we want is like a superpower, because at the end of the day we want to embody that we're going to do things that align with our values, because it's going to make people trust us more, because within just like building a brand and within being a transparent company, you have to make like every action that you take and every project that we take on is gonna portray the energy that we're gonna give out. And if we're taking projects that like we're super proud of and aligned with, like it's just gonna show.
Absolutely, it reflects like when you're proud of something that you're doing, you don't even have to try,
Yeah. It
right?
comes natural.
Yeah, it comes natural. And I think that's something to
Anything
take
that's
into consideration.
forced is usually doesn't work out.
You can
But
see it.
I mean, pushing herself is different. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So now it's just a matter of closing off that chapter and like moving on to new things. They're already presenting itself, so
Mm.
that I think that's a great
Gotta keep
path forward.
trucking. Yeah.
And that's another really valuable lesson that we need to learn sooner than later. I'm glad we learned it in that way. As a venture studio, we can't be married to the ideas.
Yeah.
We need to be able to identify a problem space, validate that we can solve it in a particular way. But as soon as we determine a hint of impracticality with the business model, lack of product market fit, maybe identifying that some underlying assumptions are incorrect, anything that would deter the success of any of these ventures, it needs to die. And we need to be relentless in what we allow forward and foster. Because if we have a bunch of little ones that, oh, like maybe this would be a great idea and a great thing to do, or we could change the world with this one little thing, if there's no feasibility to the business or feasibility to the product, it is going to take up all of our bandwidth, and it's not going to be contributing to our overall success for our portfolio companies. It's not going to be fair to the other companies that we spin up. It's not going to be fair to our investors. It's not going to be fair to our customers for our other companies and everything like that. So glad we learned this lesson sooner than later.
And we're gonna keep encountering these kind of situations in different ways. So it might be the same kind of lesson that presents itself in a different way. So we just need to be tactical on how to identify that, so we don't have to go through the same painful process again.
Especially because we're all so nice.
It's true.
Which
really-
is good.
Yeah.
But also it's also good that we're also reflective.
Yeah. 100%. I think honest with ourselves and with each other. We keep ourselves and each other in check, which I think is really important too. Having that open channel of communication. Be like, hey guys, we're going off the rails here. Like, what's going on? And have a safe space to talk about that kind of stuff, I think is great. And on the other side of things, some of the projects that are coming through now, not only is there alignment with the excitement and the context, but there's also understanding and awareness of what it takes to build something, not just from a monetary standpoint, which is very important, but also from like what is the work that actually goes into bringing something to life. So now the conversations that we're having have that context, which is really important. So we don't need to like educate on the value of what it is that we're bringing to the table when it comes to like venture building, which I think is really important.
Do the effects work on
I don't think so.
Riverside? Oh,
Yeah, if you have them enabled, they definitely will.
that's cool.
Mine will freeze.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they work.
Does it not work? Oh wait,
No,
no,
I don't
hold
think
on, I
so.
have mine disabled.
Go
Mine
off
disabled.
Riverside.
Not only did it freeze, but I got the alert that it wasn't able to process my video. So I think something's going on with my camera.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe we should definitely check it out or something like that because that keeps happening.
Yeah, it does.
Another fun thing that I'm learning is that by posting 2 posts on LinkedIn on our brand page, we didn't become a viral success already.
Damn.
Which I know is not the case, but I'm just like, you know, in your brain when you post something, you're like, oh my God, this is gonna get like 200 likes because people are gonna read this and they're gonna be like, wow, I'm so astonished. I need to share this with everyone else in the world. But then when it doesn't happen, I'm like, okay, it doesn't happen overnight.
The more we post, the more
Yeah.
probability it has.
And honestly, I tried to post within the time frame where Fridays are supposed to get the most views and engagement. Nothing. So
Do you think that maybe it's not getting enough engagement because the fact that the page doesn't have enough followers?
probably, I mean, I don't know if you saw what I posted in the LinkedIn today, but today I attended forgot the name for it. Oh, I hit my microphone. Bad podcaster. I attended an event today called, where is it? Super Founder Speaker Series. And there was this awesome woman there, and she was talking about, I'm just trying to be, shout her out because she's the person who gave me this great advice, even though I knew it already. Damn, it doesn't have her name. But she was talking about how she basically has like 20K followers on LinkedIn and how it like she gets all her leads from it now.
Nice.
And from just posting, and she posted that like she posted screenshots of like Tim Cook and how Tim Cook has more followers than Apple's page on LinkedIn, and how like for Microsoft, Bill Gates has like Tim Cook has 12.6 million followers versus Apple has 6 million. Bill Gates has 31.9 million followers versus Microsoft that has 13.8 million. And she's making the point on how like building your personal brand, you're going to have more engagement on it because people trust people more than companies.
Makes sense.
And people want to buy from people. They want to hear from other people. people want to get to know them, decide to trust or not to trust. So that's why I posted today in our social media channel how it would be beneficial for us to take the post from XI. I don't know if this could be a long-term solution, but maybe we could see how it does on the company page. But us like starting to repost those and share our thoughts on the post if like we resonate with them. Because we can get engagement from that way as well, from like one post, or even like Andrew, you having it posted on yours because you get higher engagement than XI, and then reposting it onto XI.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean posted from XI and then reposted into his page, or posted from his page and then reposted onto XI?
The second one.
Okay.
And the other thing is my engagement really because I have never been good at building a personal brand. I'll yell that out loud. So I usually repost stuff or like stuff or comment on things, but I had never really had like a perspective that I've shared, which I'm starting to get into now and embody, because I think that I believe that there's a little bit of value that I have to add to the world.
Yeah. But even commenting on stuff is great.
For sure.
It goes far further than the people who just like silently scroll or just like things. Like
Yeah.
there's levels to this. Like people, because it still comes up on people's feeds when you comment on stuff.
And you're getting involved with the different communities and just having a conversation, right? Like it's the human aspect of things.
Yeah.
You know, what's really interesting too is I was looking at because we started talking about analytics of our first post from 2 days ago that has 8 people that have interacted with it, 7 of which are in our direct community, our team. But we have one person that's a stranger.
And we got one new follower from posting that one.
Cool.
Nice.
But we had 151 impressions.
On my end, I see 153.
On my end, I see 158. So
So it's
Refresh.
gone up.
well, also, does that mean that LinkedIn isn't accurate?
No, I see 158 now.
Oh, okay.
I refreshed.
Were we about to call out LinkedIn on our first podcast and become viral?
I see 158 too. It was just a matter
And
of
for people
refreshing.
listening out there, I'm
That's it.
kidding.
Uh,
But not really.
Troll.
I mean, everyone wants to become viral because you don't it just happens overnight, and then you don't really like it just happens organically, and you're like, whoa, all this growth, crazy.
Overnight growth after being consistent for 2, 3, 5, 10 months, multiple years. Yeah.
Yeah. Me after 2 days, why aren't we viral?
It'll come.
Yeah, I
You
know.
just
I
need
know.
to keep posting. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. I'm excited because I don't know, I'm getting into it. I'm like, I'm learning new things too from creating our posts.
Like what?
How to prompt ChatGPT. But also, like, when I hear things now, like when people, I'm like, oh, this could be definitely expanded upon, because like when I'm in events or I'm listening to podcasts or I'm reading stuff, I'll just like jot down what like piques my interest and what like could be explained further in a post. Like how I did for the post today on like different types of problems, which was like so interesting to me, because like when someone says solve you, like for startups, solve the problem. Don't just make a product and then try to find the problem. I'm like, how do you even find the problem? But like when you think of like different problems in this way that are like growing problems, expensive problems, mandatory, frequent problems, it like starts to you can start to collect them in like different patterns and be like, "Oh, okay, I see that like, today they were talking about how on the other event, the Max Pog event that we attended."
Shout out to Max Pog and the venture studio community
Yeah.
he's building. Good stuff over there.
There was, I forgot his name too. There's just so many speakers. I'm so sorry. Doubt they're watching this anyway, but you want to shout out where you get your info from. He was talking about how I lost my train of thought.
You can blame me.
No, it's literally my fault because I was just like trying to think of his name so hard and then I forgot what he said. Oh, he was talking like, because now that I started learning about these different problems, there's a mandatory problem coming to be that all these AI companies, yeah, there's not going to be enough cloud storage for them. And that's going to be a huge opportunity in the future because there's just going to be so much run through there that people need to start making solutions for that now because it's an inevitable problem that's going to happen. And that's a mandatory problem since we're all just becoming so AI heavy. And that's where the industry's going. So
Yeah, I mentioned that to Andrew today too, and I can't remember his name either. And but yeah, he made very interesting points when it comes to like implementing AI, how important it is to have an AI fund on your fund, in your venture studio, and all of that, and how it's becoming like a second nature. Right?
Yeah.
He even gave an example, like even nowadays, like the way you interact with your phone is gonna change because if you need something, you still have to be the one that inputs it in the phone,
Yeah.
and then for it to give you the result, whatever you're searching for. But that's gonna change. So how's that gonna affect? Like imagine like all of these newer generations, right? Like I guess our parents probably they're definitely not gonna be as techy as us because like we grew up with it, right? But even the newer generations, like with AI, I think that there's gonna be something there because now relationships they are not the way they used to be, like interacting with humans.
Yep.
Like uh, we go to wherever we go, like we see a kid, the kid is gonna it's glued to his iPad or whatever it is that they have, but they have a screen in front of them. They're not interacting with anyone. And if you don't, I see kids like throw tantrums because their parents don't want to give them the screens or whatever. And it's like insane that when I was growing up, I didn't even have a screen in front of me. Like, if I would tell my mom I'm bored, she'll be like, okay, go outside and play, do something. Don't stay in the house. Like, now if you tell that to a kid, they'll be like, what? What's wrong with you? And I think that's in a way it's gonna like we need to in a way to learn how to put some barriers. Not I don't think barriers is the correct word, but we need to put some practices in place so we don't become like this very individualistic society that we only interact with what's in our screen and not necessarily even around us, right? I saw a video actually a couple days ago that there's these huge crowd of people and they're like waiting for New Year's. And if you see the video, like everyone is recording on their phone, right? Waiting, and there's the countdown. And then when they reach zero, instead of people like saying, "Hey, Happy New Year," and hugging each other or whatever it is, everyone was locked onto their phone. They didn't even interact with anyone around us. It's like, for that, I could have stayed home and watched it on the TV. Why go there? And just to try to record it with your phone, like you can see it with your own eyes and you see it way better.
Where was that?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in France. Yeah,
I was at Times Square this year for New Year's.
How was that?
nice.
It was nice. Yeah.
Did you notice something similar?
Everyone was recording it on their phone, obviously.
And then what about after the ball dropped? Was it like they finished recording and they started engaging with the world around them, or were they still isolated in the moment?
It depends on the person. It definitely wasn't how it used to be, where everyone like would embrace each other and like, you know, people around each other would like hug. Everyone's just like,
COVID.
okay. Yeah. Everyone would just be like, okay, I got my video. I'm going to leave now.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like some of that trajectory is moving toward, what was it, Wall-E, with the bubble cars and screens and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a prediction, especially when you start seeing companies and innovations like Humane and like, what is it, Rabbit AI? I gotta look this up now.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Yeah, Rabbit R1, the personal assistant, which is like separate from your actual phone, but it does everything that you normally would do on your phone, but it's an AI agent. I think we're going to start to see a shift in how we interact with the world, where hopefully we start to become a little bit more present through the devices. So when you get into wearables and you get into like XR devices that you can actually put on your face, so it more deeply integrates, but also at the same time removes the screen. It integrates the interface, but so much so that you're more involved in the moment, or at least that's the intention. And hopefully that starts to facilitate a more human connection by making the access to additional information or context secondary. Elon is probably decades.
I love using revolutionary technology to rebel against what has been put in front of us.
Yeah. I was saying Elon is probably decades ahead of the game with Neuralink, where it'll just be ingrained in our beings and accessible on the fly. Now, without the screen, though, right, where you're actually able to be present and in conversations or in an experience, and just know that, like, if it's being captured or if you need more information, you can ask, but it doesn't necessarily take you out of the moment.
Unless AI takes over your body, and they're the ones mandating what you do or say. Then there's that possibility too, right?
Yeah, I wonder what those boundaries might be, or lack thereof.
Not on our watch.
You think so? I think technology is moving like super fast, especially at this point, like with AI and everything that is going on. I feel like we're making progress like probably 100 times faster than we've been in the last, I don't know, 30 years. So if we are at that point right now, imagine what's going to be like 5 years down the line. I think it's going to be even faster.
Yeah.
And might be a challenge there because you're exposed to like even the human behavior has changed so much because like the human like attention span has changed drastically. So now, like even the other day, like Andrew mentioned that why songs are so short now. Like you have 1 minute songs. Like you didn't have that before. Like maybe it's because they're creating the songs for them just to go on reels or something like that.
They are.
Or TikToks.
Because they want to get viral too.
Yeah. So it's changing everything. I can only imagine what our kids are gonna be like.
The future of humanity. We will all exist in a hybrid future.
Yeah, biological body with technological.
I just want to be able to
Confusing.
go out and scan the forest and be able to identify every plant. So if that happens, that would be cool.
That'll make mushroom foraging a lot easier.
Yeah, I know.
Just have it like a highlight in orange or in green, the ones you can pick or the ones you can't.
Yeah.
How cool, right?
They got me sold.
I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
But other things that mess with the chemistry of me as a person, I'm not down for. Like how I was talking about how technology alters brain chemistry.
All things do, yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
matter. It's a matter of considering those things up front
Yeah.
and doing your best to, right? Like understanding what the long term implications of something might be. Like I was even talking to one of the companies that we're partnering with, and they are adding a layer of AI on top of like content, educational content, and making it interactive, which is great. But one of the aspects of what they're doing is also incorporating an avatar to personify it with the intention to make it a little bit more engaging. And I was like, we definitely want to make sure of what the potential adverse effects could be, especially when you're talking about introducing this kind of relationship with AI and this kind of personification of this technology to the younger population, where their minds are still forming, right? And so what does the relationship building with the world around us and people and technology look like then, when it's incorporated right from the beginning, but it's personified a little bit deeper.
Yeah. I wonder if that is because I feel like a lot of parents and people talk about, what's going to happen to our kids. I think you said that, Carolina. That's a problem. Who are the people thinking about this? You know, problems that are growing.
Yeah.
These issues are on an upward trend. Looking for shifts in consumer behavior, emerging needs in the market, solving growing problems can position your startup ahead of the curve. Even though I think people are already doing that,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm not a parent, so I don't talk to parents often. I mean, other than like my mom, but like I wonder what tech they are using, if like that's in like the back of their mind that they don't want to like, mess with their child's developing mind.
Oh yeah.
What solutions are in that space already?
I'm sure there's plenty of, but we're not aware of them.
Yeah.
And then there's another aspect to consider, which is the negative repercussions of giving so much attention to the negative side of things, where you end up in the same vertical as like the news. And you get
Yeah.
into like fear mongering and stuff, and
Yeah.
you don't want to drive that whole freaking tidal wave either. So there's a balance
Of course.
to being able to create a space to talk about these things productively. And it's like you were saying, who should be responsible for that? Like, should it be the people, and have some sort of decentralized and global or local community-based feedback system where we determine that? Like, is it defined by governments, which is obviously being tried to be done right now? Is it determined by corporations who are trying to be ethical, like we're intending to do? And what's that threshold of what level of decision making companies should have, or governments should have, or like the entirety of the community? And like, where does autonomy and agency, personal agency, come into being able to make those decisions for ourselves outside of some sort of collective whole? I don't know. I love the timing with
That wasn't
karate.
planned.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
But-
it was.
Well, I was just in the back of my brain. I know that we got here in this conversation, but I was like, is this what we want hot tea time to be? Us talking about topics, or do we want it to be us talking about building the business?
I think it could be both.
Okay.
Maybe a
checking.
little bit of everything. What was your quest of the week? Anything. I'm sure there's like plenty of stuff that people can relate to. Like
Yeah.
either talking about trendy topics or talking about what they're struggling with at their business or talking about what they're struggling with in life.
Big true.
And eventually, just waiting for Carolina to mute so we don't get the double. Thank you. And eventually we'll get to the point where we can focus in and hone in on like documenting bullet points of things that we've actually done or gone through throughout the week that we can speak to specifically, a little bit more tactically. So thanks for hanging out with us for this conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But I also like just having a decompression time and time to think over things like this, I think will be nice.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below.
What do you want to hear about?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, sounds good. I think we're done. Unless you guys want to keep talking about something that I'm not aware of.
I think it feels like a natural close.
Cool.
That awkward goodbye.
Alright. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope we
thank you
didn't
so
bore you
much.
too much.
Yes.
Hope you have a lovely morning, day, evening, weekend, summer, winter, time ahead. Cue the music.
What he said.
Just had to use a cheesy soundbite. All right. Cheers, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.